Hi, welcome to part 2 of the giraffe tutorial. In this video, we will be doing the horns, the head, the spots, and the final assembly of the giraffe. First, we will start with the horns. Using the secondary color, in round 1 we do 6 single crochet in a magic ring. In round 2 we do 6 increases, which brings you to 12 stitches in round 2. Round 3 is just 12 single crochet around. In round 4, we do a single crochet and then a decrease. And we do that 4 times to get 8 stitches. At the end of round 4, we do a color change back to the main body color. Then round 5 is just 8 single crochet around. Now we can just tuck those tails in and start to stuff the horn. In round 6, we do 2 single crochet and then decrease, and we do that twice to get 6 stitches. In rounds 7 to 8, so that's 2 rounds, we just do 6 single crochet around. Now we can just finish off with a slip stitch and cut the yarn, making sure to leave a long tail. Now we can finish stuffing the horn. Because it's quite small, it might be easier to use a large crochet hook to get that stuffing in. And you will need to make 2 of these horns for the giraffe. Now we will do these small spots, and I like to do 2 of these. In round 1, we just do 6 single crochet in a magic ring. At the end of this round, we just do a slip stitch back into the first single crochet and cut the yarn, and now we have 1 small spot. To do the large spot, in round 1 we do 6 single crochet in a magic ring. In round 2 we do 6 increases, which brings you to 12 stitches in round 2. At the end of round 2, we close with a slip stitch and cut the yarn, making sure to leave a tail. Now we are going to crochet the head. And starting in the secondary color, in round 1, it's just 6 single crochet in a magic ring. In round 2, we do 6 increases, which brings you to 12 stitches in the round. In round 3, we do a single crochet, then an increase, and we do that 6 times to get 18 stitches. In round 4, we do 2 single crochet and then an increase, and we do that 6 times to get 24. For the next 2 rounds, so rounds 5 to 6, we just do 24 single crochet around, and I'll do this off camera. Now we are going to do a color change to the main body color. In round 7, we just do 24 single crochet around. In round 8, it's 3 single crochet, then increase, and we do that 6 times to get 30 stitches. In rounds 9 and 10, so that's 2 rounds, we just do 30 single crochet around. And once again, I'll do this off camera. In round 11, we do 4 single crochet, then an increase, and we do that 6 times to get 36 stitches. Round 12 is just 36 single crochet around. Now we will attach the eyes, and these are attached between rounds 7 and 8 and about 5 or 6 stitches apart, depending on how you want the eyes to look. And I will attach the backs off camera. In round 13, we are going to do 4 single crochet and then a decrease, and we do that 6 times to get 30 stitches. Round 14 is just 30 single crochet around. Round 15 is 3 single crochet and then a decrease, and we repeat that 6 times to get 24 stitches. In round 16, we do 2 single crochet and then decrease, and we do that 6 times to get 18. Now we can start to stuff the head. In round 17, we do a single crochet and then a decrease, and we do that 6 times to get 12 stitches. Now for the last round of the head, round 18, we just do 6 decreases. After round 18, we can cut the yarn, making sure to leave a bit of a tail to sew that hole closed. Now we can sew the hole closed by going into the front loops of the stitches of the last round. So that's these 6 stitches here. Then we can pull on the yarn to close the hole and then insert the yarn back into the head and just bring it through to a few places on the head to secure that tail. Now we are going to assemble the giraffe, and I like to start with the head. First, place the head onto the neck where you want it to go, and then it really helps to pin it in place to make sure it doesn't move as you're sewing it on. To sew on the head, I like to first grab a stitch from the head and then go into a stitch of the neck and then go into the next stitch of the neck and then grab the next stitch of the head, and then repeat this all the way around, moving the pins as you go. Once the head is securely attached, we can insert the yarn back into the piece and bring it through to a few places just to secure it. Next, we are going to sew on the arms. And I like to have the arms about 5 or 6 rounds from the top of the neck. Now, in a similar way to the head, we grab a stitch from the body, go up into a stitch of the arm and back down into the next stitch of the arm, and repeat that all the way across the top, and then along the underside of the arm as well. Once you've done the whole arm, we can insert the yarn into the piece and bring that tail through to the back. The second arm we will do exactly the same way as the first, making sure it's symmetrical with the first arm. Now we can bring that yarn tail back to the same place as the first yarn tail, and then we can just tie these together in a double knot and cut that short and insert the knot into the body. Next we are going to do the horns, and the horns go right on top of the head. If you like, you can also pin them in place just to make sure you have the placement right. And once again, we can sew it on by grabbing a stitch of the head, going up into a stitch of the horn, and back down into the next stitch of the horn, and repeating this all the way around. And now we can just bring that yarn tail through to the back of the head. Now the second horn will go on exactly the same way, once again making sure it's symmetrical to the first horn. Now we can bring that yarn tail through to the same spot as the first one, and then tie these together. Now we will sew on the ears, about 2 stitches on either side of the horns. And we will sew the ears on exactly the same way as the other pieces. The ears and horns should now look something like this. Now we are going to sew on the spots, and I like to place them like so. First, I like to take the short yarn tail from the magic ring and insert that where I want the spot to go, and just pull that through to the back of the piece. Then, using the long tail, we will sew the spot on the same way as the other pieces. Now we can bring that long tail back to the same place as the short tail and tie them together. And just insert that knot into the body. The two small spots will be done exactly the same way, and I'll do this off camera. Lastly, we are going to do the tail. You can start with a slip knot, or if you prefer, you can just bring the yarn through. Insert your hook right at the back and bring through the yarn, and then we are going to chain 7. Then, starting in the second chain from the hook, we are going to single crochet back along the tail. So because I did 7 chain stitches, I will do 6 single crochet back along. We cut the yarn and pull the tail through, and just tie these 2 yarn tails together. Thread the needle with these 2 tails and insert them right under that knot into the body, and just pull that knot into the piece. And that is the giraffe completed. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the tutorial, please give it a thumbs up.